Good morning. I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts. Welcome to the Mayor's Table. It seems that economic development is constantly on our table as a matter of concern in this community. I remember back to 2008 when we began to see the national recession take form, and that filtered down to the state level and ultimately had impact in San Juan County here in northwest New Mexico. Between 2008 and 2010, we experienced a job loss of 5,000. It was a dramatic impact on our employment in San Juan County. As a result of that, many people in this community began to talk about economic development and what we needed to do to recover from the recession and recover from those job losses. One of the things that we have focused on is diversifying our local economy. And we've had about 3 to 4 years now of experience in that effort. And my guest today is a person who's been responsible for directing that effort, Ray Hagerman, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Four Corners Economic Development Service. Ray, welcome this morning.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you having me here.
I want to get quickly into this discussion, particularly focusing on diversification. And the goal was to diversify from our long-standing historical reliance on the energy sector, coal, natural gas, and oil. Tell the viewers a bit about the difficulties of diversification in a community such as Farmington's.
Well, there's a couple of things to remember about it. Diversification doesn't mean dilution. So what we do well here in the energy industry, we need to keep doing when it comes to how effective we are at doing what we do. There's a lot of brain power in the community relative to the energy industry that has been here for a really long time. But some of the efforts to diversify are limited to what you can do as a community. For example, let's say we wanted to do heavy manufacturing in the area. We're limited by the fact that we don't have any interstates, we don't have an international airport, and we certainly don't have rail within 125 miles. So it really limits what we're able to do in terms of approaching diversification. What that means is that we have to focus our efforts on what do we have at our disposal, what can we focus on, and how can we diversify using the tools that we do have.
And what are some of those assets that we do have in San Juan County in northwest New Mexico? One of the things I think of immediately is that we have cheap power, but we have other assets as well. Can you talk about some of those?
We do. We have cheap power. We have plenty of power, which is incredibly important. We do have a very effective pipeline system. It's very extensive. A lot of natural gas comes in, a lot of natural gas goes out. That helps in industries such as petrochemicals. You can pipeline that out. You can truck it out. But you can make it because we have plentiful natural gas and we have plenty of power to use to separate and to create new substances like polyvinyl acetate or lots of other petrochemicals that are made from natural gas but need a lot of power to be manufactured.
I maintain and have maintained during the time that we've been working on economic development and diversification that the process is very difficult unless you have an environment of strong programs and policies at the national level and at the state level. What's your assessment of the strength of those programs and policies at those levels above the local level?
Well, I think there are plenty of policies out there, but trying to navigate through those to really understand what you have at your disposal is sometimes very difficult. There hasn't been a lot of focus and organization to some of those programs and policies. For example, at the state level, we just got an energy policy back last fall. Well, it would have been nice to have an energy policy that we'd been working on for the past 20 years that would help determine how we actually handle things in the future. So it tends to be a little hit or miss, even at the national level. But all the more reason a community like ours that is somewhat remote is we really have to come up with the right plans and request the right help at the right levels.
How successful have we been at the local level in the context of diversification?
Well, actually, some of the diversification efforts that we have been involved in have bared fruit, but in addition to that, just by the aging of our population, just by people moving in, people moving out, the building up of our retail base here that has been building over the past 30, 40 years, believe it or not, we're about half as dependent on oil and gas as we used to be. And when I mean used to be, that's about 5 or 6 years ago.
And I maintain that we're more diverse than we gave ourselves credit for. And I look at retail, I look at tourism, and I think we're strong in those particular areas of the economy. Manufacturing has been kind of hit and miss. Construction has given us a bump at different times. But I do believe that we're probably a little bit more diverse than we thought we were.
We really are. One of the reasons that I think that's possible for us is we do have good infrastructure when it comes to fiber and IT type jobs, software developing, location neutral type workers. We have way more professional, technical, independent type workers in our community than people give us credit for. Those numbers are sometimes hard to tap and to assess, but we actually have, the numbers are showing that we actually have a lot more of those people here than we think we do.
What are your hopes for the next year or two in the context of economic development for our local area? We're dealing with another decline in the national and the state economy. I believe that will probably trickle down here. It's all related to commodity pricing in the energy sector. What are you hoping to accomplish in the next year?
In the next year, I'd like to see us get even further down the road in terms of getting our workforce up to speed. We are the only certified work-ready community in New Mexico right now, and we only need to get better. I'd like to see us focus on a lot of training and put some infrastructure in place, especially for advanced manufacturing, to help our manufacturers here move past just oil and gas, but to move into precision manufacturing and get ISO certified and those kinds of things. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see even more emphasis on the entrepreneurial network.
Ray, I want to thank you for being with us here this morning. I think a short segment like this is very instructive to citizens in our community who are interested in economic development. We could spend much more time on it. We could spend 2 or 3 hours talking about economic development. In closing, I do want to inform those who are viewing that the City of Farmington considers Four Corners Economic Development Service as our economic contractor. In essence, we privatize our economic development efforts, and we're very pleased to have Ray on board and leading that effort. I want to thank you for joining us here this morning and look forward to the next segment of the Mayor's Table.